So we have this method for basically taking a break from our mind when it's very busy, when it's very demanding. We have this very simple method, which is that instead of being in your head, you bring your attention to feeling your breath, right? And you do that for maybe just 1 or 2 breaths for a very short period of time. Then you drop that completely. You just stop. When you do that, there's a gap comes. You should try and rest in that. Has that been more confusing than previous? No? Do you understand? So, you're sitting there. So it's like say at the very start, well, this is normally say at the end of the day when your mind has been very busy throughout the day. Usually early in the morning it's not that busy, unless you've had a rather interesting dreams and stuff. So what you do is basically you bring your attention onto your breath. You feel your breath, feel it, particularly as it leaves, because there's a quality of ease as your breath leaves your body. There's a feeling. So, but you feel the breath itself, just the physical sensation of the breath. And then you just stop. You stop doing that even. You understand? And when you stop, there's an actual gap. There's a little gap. And then you just rest there. Don't do anything. Then it starts up again. Now, how is that? How's that? Okay, so let me explain now. So that's something quite special, by the way. You won't get that. Okay, that's something a little bit special. This thing about then you even drop the method and you just rest. No direction. No attempting to do anything. You just stop. I can see 1 or 2 people got it. So then what do you do for the rest of the time? For the rest of the time, now here's an interesting thing. For the rest of the time, you just see what's happening in your mind without interpreting it. That's what you do for the rest of the time. So, I'll explain that a little. God, I hope this isn't going too long. Okay. I'm a devil for talking. Here we go. That normally our ordinary way of being is that we're all the time looking outward. A little bit like, like an animal that's like either frightened or hungry. I don't know if you get this at all. All the time we're kind of looking outward. We're kind of checking out. Do you understand? We're looking outward. And we're looking at an outside. We're looking outside of ourselves. We're looking outside of ourselves. And our ordinary experience is that outside is something separate from me. There's a solid outside reality that's experienced by a solid I, a solid me. Am I right? Isn't that how we normally experience things? Okay. And even when it comes to our inner world, this is interesting. Even when it comes to our inner world, we have the same attitude, right? We see our inner world, in other words, like our thoughts, memories, emotions, all that stuff. We see that as solid stuff that's happening to a solid me. That's that's my understanding of how we see our own inner world. In other words, having this, I don't know how to describe it, this kind of looking outside all the time. An eye that's looking outside. Now, in this meditation, there's a subtle shift, right? Rather than looking outside or having this attitude of looking outside, we start to look inward. We start to see what's happening in our mind. And as much as possible, we try to see this directly, right? Without interpreting what's happening. Merely observing, merely seeing. That's what we try to do. And when you do that, one of the things you notice, is that that thing is in a constant change. It's changing all the time. Your thoughts are changing, your memories are changing, your emotions are changing. The whole thing is in a state of flux. It's almost as though there's nothing solid there. So what's happening here is we're beginning to see, this is what's called wisdom. We're beginning to see by looking inside, by looking inward, we're beginning to see our mind and how it works and what's happening. Now, what will happen is, you might manage, like, you know this thing about, okay, so you feel your breath, you let go, there's a gap, you can see this stuff happening. Within a short period of time, you'll be hooked. You'll be in the thought. You'll be in the memory. You'll be in, okay? Now, you will lose contact. How do I put this? It's like you become absorbed or fixated by this. You lose awareness. And then, magically, you notice, oh, I can see what's happening in my mind. Now, what do you do then? You need to do absolutely nothing, because that's the meditation we're doing, is to see what's happening in your mind. You see? Now, this develops. There's more to it. This is just the starting status of a very deep meditation. But, okay, how's that? I know I went on a bit long. Okay, so we'll do, I hope it's okay. We'll have it go on a little bit longer. So, okay? And I'm going to ring a bell, and I'd say a small little bit. Okay? So, don't rush into meditation. It's the first thing I'd say. Take your time. Relax. Leave your mouth slightly open. If you like, now you can just feel your breath for 1 or 2 breaths. Now drop it. Just rest. So, you're caught in your mind? All you need to do is see. If it's bothering you, if what's going on in your mind is bothering you, come back to feeling the breath. Drop. Relax. just casually noticing, seeing. So rather than reacting to what's happening in your mind, you're just looking at it. You're not making any judgments. You're just looking. And when you don't react, something happens. Spaciousness. Not something you're looking for. Not something you're trying to attain. It just happens naturally. Not something you're trying to force or create. If you have that feeling, all you need to do is just notice that you have that feeling. That's all. How are you finding this? It's very sly. It's kind of, instead of having to react, you're just looking. When you react, you're stirring up your mind. You're creating confusion. Should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, what'll happen if? You see, that's when you react. You're just looking. You're just seeing. It changes. The thought, the emotion, the memory, of its own accord, dissolves. We're not trying to make them dissolve. We're just looking. What we're beginning to see is the true nature of thoughts, emotions, memories. We're beginning to see them not as solid, but as this movement, this change. And then they have less hold on you. I think I've shut everybody up.